Hello and welcome, listeners, to the latest episode of Lost Lieutenant. I'll be your host, Nick, and this evening I'm joined by fellow host.
Val.
Good to see you again, Val. It has been a little while since we've had a catch up. A little while since we've put an episode up. It's just been pretty flat out for everyone over the past few weeks. I think it's been some crazy times. Funny time of year to have some super busy times, but we've got Kev over in Europe at the moment. He was sitting in Lisbon in Portugal, setting up some notes and information for us to talk about because without Kev we seem to be lost.
We're basically in retreat, to be honest. Without Kevin, we're actually in retreat.
That's
Like
right. So
we're literally in Lost
we're
Lieutenant.
Lost Lieutenant, but with when you take out Kev's the points that Kev's worth, we have found ourselves in retreat. We've got a couple of veteran orders left over, which is how we've managed to scrounge around to get a couple of episodes out while he's away, right?
And as you know best of all, you can still win, or in your case, lose a game by going to retreat.
Absolutely.
So that's fine.
Absolutely.
We should be okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Val, how have you been?
Yeah, look, I've been pretty well, actually. Been playing a little bit of Infinity here and there, and starting to really starting to do a lot of list building towards BCB now. BCB is not far away at all.
Burn City Brawl is
So
coming
really
up in about a month's time now, which is
we've hit 50 players.
super exciting. Yeah, we've got a cap of 60 players. We've got 50 locked in already. For those who were frightened that I might be jumping in to dominate the field, I'm actually going to be TOing this event. So it's my first time as a TO, which has been a real eye opener to sort of reveal the amount of work and effort that has to go in on behind the scenes beforehand to get this sort of thing up and running, because we've got a group chat and it's just blowing up all the time to sort all this stuff out.
25 tables.
Well, that's right. 25 tables, maybe 30. When you've got a 60-person event, it's just it's a lot of cats to herd, right?
Yeah. So who's actually who's the TOing? It's obviously Pete.
So
yourself.
Me, Pete Henry, Kev's in there as well, but Kev will still be in Europe, so he's TOing from a distance. So on the actual, like, on the floor on that weekend, apart from me and Pete, I'm not sure if there'll be.
What about setup and organizing and stuff? Who's in the chat?
Yeah, that's still it's still up in the air to get it all locked in. So it's going to be I'll probably have to take that Friday off work beforehand as well, actually, come to think of it, to which I did last year as well to help with the setup, but even more so.
Yeah.
Last year I was on crutches at the time.
Yeah, fuck.
Well, that wasn't even last year. That was the start of this year, but it was 2021 BCB that had been postponed until, what was it, January or February? And then this is actually 2022.
I might have to turn my camera
BCB.
off. I might have to turn my camera off. The internet's playing up a little bit.
Oh, you're coming through fine for me.
Oh, I am? Okay, cool. Because the video's just going in and out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to, you can turn my video off. But
I don't know if I can.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. You've not had any issues come through.
So awesome. Okay.
Sounds absolutely fine.
Sounds good.
But tonight we're going to have a bit of a catch up. Again, just so we're trying to get this episode out there so we can remain relevant. We're going to have a bit of a talk about everything that's happened in the world of Infinity since we last spoke, right? Because there has been a whole bunch of changes. We've had all the information come out about Blackwind through the Blackwind week, as well as the seminar at Gencon. A whole bunch of changes, whole bunch of updates, and some really beautiful miniatures coming our way, as well as a few tasty nerfs that may or may not have been heavily influenced by a meme war that happened, and all sorts of stuff going on. So, yeah. But anyway, before we get into that, why don't we have a bit of a chat about what we've been up to? So, Val, you've been playing many games, getting any hobby in yourself?
Yeah, so I've been having A little bit of hobby here and there. Starting to paint up some Imperial service. Done some bounty hunters. I've used like the IR model as a bounty hunter. I've used the one the limited edition La Muette with the pistol. The pistol. I'm using him as a bounty hunter,
Hmm.
and then like I've got the big chesty limited edition bounty hunter.
Yeah.
So
Those
got those
those those
three.
um IRs look awesome. I love those minis.
Oh,
So
they're so
like I can
fucking
totally
good.
see how you can put that through as a bounty hunter as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty happy with how they've come out. I've been having some recent games with Imperial Service, and we can go into them a little bit later, or we can talk about it
Just
now.
go,
To be
you
honest,
just talk about it now.
yeah, man. I can. I'm struggling so badly with them. They're such a contrast to the Morats that I've been playing recently. They're just tough, really tough. You don't have staying power. You don't have board presence. It's the weapons you do have, you're paying a lot for them. I don't know. It's having a really hard time, but I'll be taking them to BCB. I'm starting to find some things that I'm liking, but yeah, big learning curve.
I feel like, I mean, you mentioned like board presence as a thing. Um, I feel like that would be a similarity that they have with Morats in that you're starting in your deployment zone, right?
Yeah, but with Morats, you have the different war bands that take control of the midfield very
Right.
quickly and very efficiently. You can do the same with Huang Xin. That's what I'm learning to do. But they move 4-4. They don't move 6-4 like the Gahis or 6-6 like the Predators. And yeah, I don't know. It's a bit different. But I'm learning. So and the thing is like the only things that have like more than one wound is your heavy infantry, which you're paying 40, 50 points for, right? So and then if you want real staying power, you want a doctor or a paramedic, but that's 31 points for the soft attack.
Because you got to get the
And you're
sofa
just like,
tech,
fuck.
yeah.
Exactly. It's so infuriating at the moment. But yes, I've been having some games against Gareth, an old player who's coming back into the fold. He's come to BCB. He's been pulling out his NCA and he's been slapping me around with the Swiss hacker and the basically the bolts, bolt link and things like that. It's having some good games though.
Look,
That's been fun.
I jumped into ISS with in N4. I played,
Hmm.
it would be less than half a dozen, maybe like 3 or 4 games with ISS
Hmm.
when N4 first dropped, and I just couldn't get my head around them. I couldn't make them work for me. That was, and now like there has been a lot of changes that have taken in place post Raven Eye with ISS. Do they really help them that much? I'm not sure. In saying that, like we're looking at some of this data that came out um, from the seminar, which we'll talk
Yeah.
about later on. It's like they still seem to have a really decent or higher than I expected
Mm.
win ratio when compared to the other factions. So I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe we're both just doing it wrong.
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't think the faction's weak. I just think I gotta change my approach to them. But yeah, it's just taking yeah, it's just hard. And the missions for BCB are really tough as well. But besides that, we had our event in Geelong, codenamed Kirby. That was the 400 points limited insertion event. That was really fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
I love that you dedicated it to Kirby as well. That's awesome because usually or pre-COVID we would in Melbourne we'd
mhm,
have OCM, sorry, ECM, Elite Command
easier.
Melbourne, which is a 400 point single command group, um, 4 round event in one day.
Mhm,
That was probably we probably ran that 3 times, I reckon. Um,
that's right.
and so Kirby had tried to bring it back, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the numbers around on sort of short notice to put it in place. So
Yeah.
you decided to adopt that same format for the All Systems Go event in Geelong.
That's right. Yeah. So it was a bit of a con style event put on by the local store in Geelong. They hired out a hall. It was fucking awesome,
Yeah,
actually. Had lots of different game systems. The food, the beers, it was like $4 beers,
mate,
$2.50 chips. Mate, this was like we live in the 80s. It was fucking. I was eating chips and like donuts for $1 and beers for like $4. It was a fucking great time.
that sounds
And
fantastic.
yeah,
I'm so like I
yeah.
was planning on making it down.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to. I was never going to be able to play in the event, but
play.
I was planning on popping down for half the day to bring one of the girls along just to pop my head in and say hello. But I ended up having, what did I get? I got um, tonsillitis. I had tonsillitis last
Oh,
weekend. So,
Jesus.
because yeah, it was only last
Good
weekend
old for that,
gone.
aren't you, Nick?
Yeah, I am.
Good old for
Yeah,
that.
I somehow managed to get tonsillitis, so was
Yes.
not in a good way, and then had to
Oh, jeez.
fucking travel to Sydney this past week. So I was in Sydney all week, um,
Mm,
for work. So I like this week has just been a write off for me hobby wise, but
mm,
prior to that, again, I mean, the last episode that we recorded,
mm,
I was had organized a game 2 nights later, I believe, or the following night,
mm.
but ended up coming down with a head cold, so couldn't go to that.
Well,
So yeah, my the fact that my last game was Nova Core still stands, which is pretty embarrassing, personally, to be honest. Um,
yeah. Well, you've had a lot going on. You've been
oh
moving and
yeah,
changing jobs and
yeah,
stuff like that.
that's
But yeah,
but still, like,
th-
it's just for me personally. I'm like, I need to get a game in. Um, I've
sure.
got, I've put together all of what I'm turning into my white company army. I just need to
Mm-hmm,
get them. I just need to get bases for them. I do
mm-hmm,
have some files to print off, like to 3D print for
mm-hmm,
bases. I do have that 3D printer that I won at House of War all those
mm-hmm.
months ago, still sitting inside the box, and I
Perfect.
feel like it would just be so much easier if there was someone that I knew that had a 3D printer that I could just be like, hey, can you just print
Print
these
this.
for me? Just because like the I'm so time poor at the moment that I just don't want to have to
Yeah,
go
it's
through the
just
rigmarole of setting up the 3D printer and getting all that done, which is something I've never even considered looking at before.
exactly.
So I'll try that, but like, because I want to start getting on the table. Then I was like, shit, I can't actually play a game with these things until I put them on some kind of basis. Um, oh, sorry.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let me just
Hey,
no, let me.
just
Sorry, I've
Joshy
just got to change one of the settings on the video so it doesn't show. Here we go. Show non video.
doesn't
There
show
we go.
Joshy boy.
Perfect. That's all right. Um, yeah, but apart from that, I've got um. Oh, I stripped my blue wolf
Oh,
because so I painted my blue wolf the night before Burn City Brawl,
yep, yep.
last Burn City Brawl. Like
Mhm.
literally at the venue while everyone was setting up around me.
You were
I
painting.
painted it. Well, I helped set up, but I was on crutches, so I wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It wasn't that useful.
I wasn't that
Yeah.
useful. I was sort of limping around the place. Uh, but I painted him in it. It was just contrast job. It was a real rough job, and like I was happy. I was probably 50% happy with it, right? Um, but
Mhm.
I've cracked out the airbrush now, so and this I think it's a nice model that I want to have a go with the airbrush with, particularly some of the new contrast paints that have come out. There's like a really nice yellow in there that I'm going to try out on the blue wolf once I
Yeah, I was brave.
yeah. Well, no, so it's the I've got it here. Just grab it.
You go for it.
The it's this. How does this work?
Oh, look at that! It's
The
yellow.
yeah, the contrast Imperial Fist contrast
I
paint.
was being a smartass.
Um, and
Um,
apparent, so I don't know, like, this is the marketing spiel, and this yeah, this podcast is definitely not sponsored by Citadel Contrast Paints or Games Workshop in any way, but I've really enjoyed using contrast paints, and they're probably some of my go-to's even to this day. um just maybe a month ago, they released a new batch of like an extra 20 colors or something, and one of the
yeah,
real well, there was a couple of yellows in the original release that were okay. There's like a couple of extra yellows now, this one being one of them, that are apparently just phenomenal. Really good coverage and really rich color. So
yeah,
I'm really keen to try that out. And using contrast paints through the airbrush as well is something that, what I've heard, is a real effective way to use them. So, um,
very nice, very nice. Yeah, look, and yeah, if it goes well for you, that's great.
Yeah, so and it's funny because I'm not even playing a faction that can use the Blue Wolf anymore, and I don't really intend to play the faction that can use the Blue Wolf at any point in the future. But I just want
Yeah,
to. I really love the model, so I'm happy to just
why
redo it.
not?
So I've stripped it down
For
back to
sure.
metal, and we'll
Mm.
start again.
Ah,
Um,
for sure. I was just gonna make mention on the Geelong event. Congratulations to Hector for taking it out. Yeah, I think he won with Corregidor. Did very well, keeping his, yeah, I guess keeping his, I guess, reputation of being a very strong tournament player. Big shout out. One thing I was going to say is just before Josh joined, even I was going to say this is a big shout out for Josh because he carpooled like 4 Melbourne guys in. That was a massive, that was a big effort.
Massive
So
effort.
that was yeah, that's like what that was like. I don't know, like 20% of our player base. So that was awesome. Yeah, big props to all the Melbourne guys who came down. There was because there was what 14 players in the end. We had like 8 from Melbourne, 6 from Geelong. So yeah, big help there. So thank you very much. Um, and yeah, that was just a fucking it was an awesome event. Just seeing so many big toys. Um, I felt pretty bad for Gerardo actually. Gerardo's one of the newest players in the Melbourne scene, I think. And he was an absolute shark tank of players. Like there was just some very experienced players around him, and yeah, he was just swimming upstream the whole time. But yeah, he did with a smile on his face. So that's yeah,
And
big
he's
props.
he's been real active on the Infinity group chat as well. So it's great to see
Yeah, he's a good dude.
a newer
He's a
player
good
sort
dude.
of just jump into it and embrace
Yeah.
the being part of the community as well. So
For sure, for sure. We've already mentioned my recent games against NCA, so you've joined too late, Trent. So we'll just move straight along. Um, I know Trent always is happy to have a chat about all things Pan Oceania. So
but Val, is there any sort of particular reason why you've decided you want to go down the Imperial Service route to BCB at
uh,
all, or
Imperial Service is my first love, right? So I played Hakazan was my first faction. Then I dabbled with Shazvasti, and then I got Imperial Service, and they're my first love. But then I picked up MO and Morats, but now I'm going back to Imperial Service to try and make them great again. And it's a fucking battle. Jesus Christ! Like I said, it's been tough. It's been tough. We should just have a chat about Imperial Service and we should just get two pairs of eyes on it and see what you think. Because we have very different play styles, I think, Nick. But
100%, and yeah, and I think if I was playing, and I haven't put the hours into even the
mm,
theory crafting in Army
mm,
about like post Raven Eye, what does an Imperial Service army look like, right? Now that they've
mm,
got those more like the
there's
different
so many
link
links.
teams with the like the Law and Order dun dun link
Mm,
team and
Doo-doo.
um the
Two
as well
Harris
as like the yeah
options.
exactly well, I mean the Law and Order amazing Harris options as well as the LF support group
ALF
with
support, yeah,
Dakinis
Harris
and
option.
is it the
And then
Danavas hacker or the
yeah, yeah. Well, they can be whatever they want. They can be um yeah, they can have a Spitfire MSV2. They can have Hacker. They can have Sensor. They can have really
Um, and that I mean, but I don't know. Again, like I say,
Davis.
I just haven't put the effort in because it's not a faction I'm interested in playing right now.
Exactly,
I
yeah.
haven't put the effort into to
To
really
learning them.
nail that out. But
Yeah.
I feel like my gut still tells me that Sujan duo is where I would probably land. With
Okay.
one
Yeah.
Spitfire, one
One shotgun.
heavy shotgun. Um,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
because that
I'll,
yeah, sorry.
sorry, go on. No, you go. You go on.
I was just gonna say that heavy shotgun with is it plus one burst, plus one damage?
Yeah, plus one damage, plus one burst. Really
It's
strong.
just
Really strong.
frightening.
It's gross.
Um,
And Rogue Cantrell's running it, so it's obviously above the power curve. Um, no, I was also going to say actually, what nights are you going to be able to get games in? Because I think House of War starting to pick up a little bit.
yeah. So
Uh,
and because I've moved house, I've sort of settled into my new spot. And I've got to start a new job, sort of settling into that as well. I still need to figure it out if I want to be playing Wednesday nights or Thursday nights. Like I can get one night a week, right? But if
Yes.
I do it Wednesdays or Thursdays, if it's Wednesdays, I go to Axes and Nails. If it's Thursdays, I go to House of War. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and I love going to Axes and Ales. So maybe I will split. But like I love going to Axes and Ales, but I love playing at House of War. If that makes
Yep.
sense.
Mm, me too.
Um,
Me too. To be honest.
because when you're playing it, particularly on Thursday night, when you're playing at House of War, it's all Infinity. Well, not all, but there's only like a couple of other games there. Last time I was there,
Yeah.
actually there was some guys playing Lord of the Rings, or like Middle Earth fantasy battle game, whatever they
Oh,
call it these days.
okay.
And they were playing like the soundtrack from
Fuck yeah.
from the Lord of the Rings
So
movies, right? And I was
yeah.
like
Okay.
I like my, I was we were setting up the table, and I called out to him, and I'm not a small dude with my big beard. I'm pretty confident as well, but in that type of scenario, I guess I could kind of seem to be somewhat intimidating. I guess when you might not be the most um, social type person, but I've called out to him
Yeah.
hey, are you guys playing the Lord of the Rings music? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, while you're playing Lord of the Rings, and they're like, yeah. And I was like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's awesome.
so,
Yeah. No.
but like when I called
I
out to
what
them, they were like, oh no, someone's called us out.
no
But I
trouble.
just thought it was
Yeah.
all, I just thought it was super cool.
Yeah. It's awesome
But
actually.
yeah,
I,
but mostly like we're getting probably like 4 games happening there each week out at House of War, which is, I mean, really
I think
that's the same number of games that
yeah.
are happening in Axis and Ales that are Infinity. Um, but I don't know,
It, the
they're completely
the
different
vibes is
vibes.
much, yeah, very different vibes. I guess Accent Hours has got kind of got a little bit of everything going on, but it doesn't feel like it's your kind of click. It just feels like it's just like a place where there's like a lot going on. Like you don't feel like this is home. Whilst House of War, it feels like home. You're like, hey, this is our crew, this is our night, sort of thing. It's kind of it has that nice feeling. So it's yeah, it's a bit of it's definitely a toss up. But there's yeah a little bit of a difference between the two, I guess. But anyway, I'd like to start getting into House of War a little bit more because it's not too bad for me. It's maybe 30 minutes
Mm,
on them three and takes me straight there. So it's actually not bad at all. I'll probably want to line up Pete with a game in the coming future. So yeah, you might see me there
yeah,
if you can make
yeah.
it as well.
Well, I think if I can't get a game in this week, I'm
Mhm.
100% going to get a game in next week. I don't know where yet.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know when. I don't know where.
No,
But I am
when
going to play a game of Infinity
there's a will, there's a way.
before the end of the month.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's good. Oh, geez. All right. Well, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's so just between the Geelong tournament and some racing games against the NCA with my Imperial Service. That's pretty much all I've been up to be honest.
Cool.
Um,
Well, look, we might just do a quick roundup of the current challenges that we're running, as we do run our
sure,
monthly
probably.
and quarterly challenges. The quarterly challenge is to convert something. So
Mm,
this is sort of inspired behind the more plastics that are coming into our game. So take something that uh, you like but don't necessarily love, and turn it yourself into something that you can bring to the table as part of a conversion. A guy posted on the just I think it was earlier today. The I was going to say WGC, but it's not the WGC anymore. It's
but yeah, Infinity
International
Global.
Infinity Global
Hmm.
Facebook page with some Toha that he'd done up to look with like the double-handed blade that from World of
Yeah,
Warcraft. That
yeah, it's fucking awesome.
what's that guy's name? The he was like the bad guy.
Yeah, everyone knows the Elven guy, the Elven.
Illidan,
Yeah.
with he had like the
Hmm.
he was
Hmm.
like the demon hunter.
The speed dealers, yeah, the
Yeah.
speed dealer sunglasses, yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the Illidan blade thing, which is super
Mm.
cool. It looks amazing. So Kev posted saying you should send these to the Lost Lieutenant guys to enter into their conversion competition. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
fair
if
enough.
whoever you are, if you listen to the podcast, definitely send it through. So and there's been a few others
Yeah,
that we've had a couple of entries that have come through already. Just
yeah.
nice little tweaks here and there, and that's all it needs to be. Nothing massive. If you want to go all in, go for it. But we'll take most. We'll take almost anything. Um, when it comes to entries, and then our monthly challenge at the moment for the month of August. Um, which again, it's like week 3 of August, but this is actually the first recording we've done this 1 month, so we've barely even promoted it, unfortunately. But it is to write up a report, take some photos, and tell us your experience in using coordinated orders during a game. So last month we talked about hacking. This month we're talking about coordinated orders. What we talk about next month is yet to be determined, but something exciting, I'm sure.
Mm.
So coordinated
The
orders.
month of Julian, the month of Julian this month, the coordinator orders.
How
This
sad.
is his go-to move. He was preaching this for the first 6 months of
Oh
the year.
yeah. So like using coordinated orders to take out
And Panzer yeah.
hard ARO pieces, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Because they can only shoot back at one of them, but they're going to be, and so
That's
they'll
right.
they'll be
They're
copping
gonna get.
copping shots from all over the place.
Yep,
So
indeed.
yeah,
No, very viable strategy though. But yeah, I'm sure there's other ways to use coordinators, and I'm sure we'll hear all about it.
that's right.
Um, but what else was there? So that's the challenges. Should we dive into the Blackwind?
Let's go for it. So we
All
had
right.
a couple weeks ago we had the Blackwind week, which
Mhm.
was pretty exciting. I mean, coming up to basically each Gen Con, CB will release a new 2-player starter pack, is what they've been doing for the past few years, and they're doing it again this year.
Mhm.
It brings more factions into Code 1, as well as gets more models in, and sort of just refreshes that whole 2-player starter scene. So we had Blackwind Week, where they went through Operation Blackwind, which is the next 2-player starter pack. Which, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you've already heard this before, right? It's Aleph
Yeah.
versus Hak Islam. So new 2-player starter pack comes with all that hard card terrain as well, which is mint. Love that stuff.
Mhm.
And so it's really great to see that reskinned again. But personally, I think the real winner is the people who are playing and going to want to be playing those factions, because I think there's some beautiful sculpts coming out in those releases. What do you reckon, Val?
I'm actually really curious to see what this will mean for Code One in general as well. Now that all the factions are in, the models that have come out are fucking awesome as
Yeah,
well. There's been a lot of changes to Army as a result of that coming out too, which is pretty cool.
yeah. So
Um,
so we'll talk a bit about the army changes. We'll talk a bit about all these different stuff. We're not going to do a massive deep dive into Hak Islam and Aleph slash Steel Phalanx and
Brian,
Assassin
Brian
Baram.
has. Yep.
Just because really we're not experts on those factions. What we do have is a nice special trait, which is was like I said, how Kev is holding up this podcast, even though he's been away and will be away for like another 2 months. He's keeping us above water because he got a bit of a chance to put some info together on his thoughts on assassins and Hak Islam changes that happened in Army. So Kev was like, "Yeah, I'll just put together a quick video." Manages to record a 30-minute segment, which he
How
sent,
numb must his legs
which
have
he
been?
sent through to us, and
I
it's like
assume he did it on the toilet, right? Like
it's
he had to do it on the toilet. How numb are your legs after like 5 minutes,
it's like
let
yeah,
alone 30 minutes?
yeah. I tried to be quick, but it ended up being 30 minutes. Just use this. So because Val and I are the ultimate showman, neither of us have actually watched it, but we will. Um, if you're listening on Podbean or like as a podcast, we will splice that into the episode seamlessly because all of our editing happens seamlessly. If you're watching on YouTube, I will upload Kev's 30-minute video as a separate video so you can reference that yourself. Because I don't know how to edit videos, basically, um, which I'll freely admit. Um, but yeah, so in terms of Code One, Code One's a funny one, and I would really love to get a bit more insight from CB as to like
If only we could ask one of the
if
CB employees a
oh
question.
no, that's a secret. We can't talk about that. Um,
What do you mean? I was just
It's a
just
it's
a
a
random
secret.
thought.
It's a secret, Kev.
Uh,
Shush. I just called you Kev. Val. It's a secret, Val. Yeah,
What do
Kev's.
what's the secret?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out ideas.
Well,
That's
I
all.
mean, yeah, Kev's in Portugal right now, which is very close to
Not.
Spain. So Kev might be in Spain in the next week or two, and he might be somewhere in particular. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I
I
was
don't
just
know
throwing out
either.
ideas. I
I
was just
mean,
spitballing.
I barely know what the world map looks like. So, um, anyway, um, Code One's an interesting one, and it's like I think it's great that we've now basically got every major faction released in
Mhm.
Code One, but then because when Code One came out, there was all the idea was that each round will have an extra two faction come out, but it was
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
okay, when that conversation was happening was like 3 years ago.
Yep.
We never really thought further ahead than that. It's like what happens then? What happens the year after you've got all the main factions in, and we still don't know. Um,
Well, yeah, I think. Well, I think. Well, whether Code One's working or not, I think CB are going to see it out until all factions are released. Then they're going to give it a year or two to see if it's actually being used and implemented. If it's not, then they're probably going to cut it. That's my feeling on it. I'd actually like to do a Code One tournament. To be honest, I think it'd be fun. And I'll probably try to do that later on in the year, just something casual, 4 games or even 5 games in a day. Because Code One's much quicker, well, not much quicker, but it's a bit quicker than Infinity. So a game of 4 games in a day, I think that'd be something fun. And like you said, all the major factions are in, all the factions that matter and are relevant. So JSA didn't make the cut. Too bad, Josh. But aside from that, yeah, they're all in. So yeah, it's everyone should be able to play. So I reckon it'd be a good time.
Look, I feel like they, if they did like next year, if there was like JSA versus I don't even know what there's because there's no other faction like JSA in that, or maybe Drew's. I'm just like what I'm saying is that like a faction that all the other and
Irrelevant factions.
all the other NA2 factions, you look at this faction and like you look at, for example, White
White
Company,
Company.
right? It is obviously they've looked at the models that come in Operation Caldstrom, been like, okay, you've got Yujing, you've got Pano, here have a faction that can use most of these models. Oh, excuse me. And there's a few other NA2 factions that are an obvious combination of two other existing factions, and it just
Yeah.
so happens that those two existing factions have a same two-player starter pack together, right? Um,
Mm.
so does that mean that what am I trying to say? That if
Look,
they had JSA plus something else, I wouldn't be surprised because also JSA is just like a super
I-
popular faction, right? You cannot deny the fact that
eh,
people love
eh.
JSA. As when they
Look,
look when they look at ninjas and
mate.
they look at samurai, like you get your fucking anime
Eh,
weebs who are like, yes, I love this shit. This is amazing.
eh.
Um,
It's true. It's true. But look, the way I look at JSA is this. It's quite simply. I use a football analogy. JSA are simply an academy for Guangxi, right? It's just a matter of time until they all become Guangxi, and that's all it is. That's all that faction is. It's just, it's like, football clubs that have their under 18s, under 16 squads. It's the same thing. JSA are the academy for the Guangxi, for the Imperial Service. That's it. That's all I'm saying is. I'm just trying to talk some strong trash while Josh is on the line.
it's
Um,
all right.
no, actually no, but do you think having the all 8 factions of in Code One, do you think it'll actually it'll encourage people to use it, or you don't really have any thoughts on it?
So my thoughts on Code One are that I have used Code One as a tool when introing new players. Um, has it been effective in saying that? Like I'm sort of racking my brain about the past few players I brought into the game, and I'm thinking like half of them don't play anymore, and I'm not sure if I can think of at least one or two who never actually made the transition from Code One to
Mm,
N4
dude.
because I'd brought them in, I'd introduced them into the Code One environment, and I'd started playing games of Code One with them, and then
Mm.
they had, but no one else is playing Code One. Everybody's
No one
playing
else is
N4.
playing. That's the problem. Yep.
So they're like, okay, now I want to get another game in.
It's only
How
you.
do I do that? Like, who can I
Mm.
play to play Code One? And it's like, and
Yeah.
unless someone is willing to, because it is a different game, right? It while the bones are there, it's a very different game. It plays very differently.
Mm.
The tactical depth
Mm.
is not nearly what we see when we're playing full N4 rules. So
Yeah,
so for
yeah, yeah.
someone, so if you put your hand up and say, hey guys, I want to play a game of Code One, can someone come and play with me? An N4
Mm.
player, if like me, if I can only get a game in once a week or once every 2 weeks,
Yeah, might be hesitant.
then by me committing to that, it means I'm committing to not playing a game of N4,
Mm.
right?
But you are still coming to have fun, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. It depends how you look at it, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
If your
and but I mean,
priorities,
but it depends what your priorities are as well. A lot of the time when I'm getting reps in is because I'm trying to get good for an event. So
you,
if I was playing at BCB, and someone was like, "Can you show me how to play Code One?" I would not put my hand up for it because there is going to be no benefit to me in terms of getting my head around my armies
yeah, getting
that
them
I've put
ready.
together, the missions, the type of armies I'm going to be playing against, all that sort of stuff is not relevant. So it's
Yeah.
hard, right?
Nah, it's yeah, it is. But I don't know. I reckon yeah, I'd like to do. I reckon it'd be interesting to see a whole bunch of experienced players playing Code One and doing an event and just see how just like getting 4 games in a day of Code One with all the new stuff. I reckon it'd be interesting. And yeah, I think we'll see what happens. We'll
Mm,
watch the space,
yeah,
listeners.
yeah. I mean,
And yeah, if it,
I
yeah,
was
sorry.
just going to say, in terms of like the notion of it being an on ramp for new players, now that all the major factions are present, it can definitely be that more than it could when
That's
there
right.
was only two or four,
Previously,
right? When it was only half.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah,
Awesome. But yeah, if anyone has any hot takes on Code One, please jump in our Patreon chat in the I guess episode chat and just yeah throw out some ideas on how to utilize Code One or experiences you've had. I'd be very interested to hear, to be honest.
yeah.
Um,
And because I mean, I
y-
asked you just briefly before we started recording, Val, which I wanted to bring up now again.
mm.
With all the community building work that you've been doing out in Geelong, what role has Code One played in that? And you said very little.
Well, mainly getting people off the meth. No, sorry, no, that's really no. But basically, Code One didn't play a role just simply because it's so. I've said this before, but effectively, Code One's the most difficult part about Code One is it just takes one player not to have a Code One faction for it not to be viable because everyone has to have Code One. So that means the merchant or the store you play at have to stock Code One, and nothing but Code One in terms of Infinity products and or you have to coordinate the players who are getting into the game about what they buy. Right. So it's really hard. So as soon as somebody buys
Yeah, but I mean, like
more,
a player getting into the game, if they do follow the Code One purchases, are not going to be making any mistakes in what they buy because they get all the good
no,
troops, they get remotes, they get a tag, they get all the stuff that you are gonna use when you play in four.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, if there's Code One starter, Code One starter, Code One starter, Morat starter, Onyx starter, there's not a
Mm,
JSA starter. There's nothing stopping somebody going, oh, I want to play Morats, or I want to play JSA, or I want to play Onyx, right? Because at the end of the day, it's their choice, right? And if they pick up one of those boxes, then unfortunately they can't play Code One, so therefore I can't demo them in Code One.
yep.
So
Okay, I
that's
understand
kind
what you
of
mean. Yep.
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So, but look, anyway, we'll see what comes of it. And yeah, I'm still interested because it's yeah, it's a different if it's a different game, but I think it's still got some depth and it's got some variety on N4 the full rule set. So we'll see what happens. What about the minis? What do you reckon of the minis?
I love them.
The
I honestly, I think this is the from a sculpt and miniature perspective. I think this is one of the. I reckon it's no. I will say it. In my opinion, it is the strongest two-player starter pack. There
really?
is not a single model in there that I dislike.
Huh.
I love them
That's
all.
huge.
Um, the Daylami, I like there's the 3 Daylami sculpts. I think they're all awesome. There's that bald guy who
Yeah, very good.
looks like that dude from Empire
So,
Strikes Back.
oh, sorry.
Um,
Yep.
there's the lady who looks like a working mum with her with a tactical headset and um
Yeah, yeah.
the Panzerfaust, the shoulder slung Panzerfaust. It's like doesn't have the
Mm.
tube sticking on it. What's the word? Compacted, compounded. Um, I don't know, but it looks
Like
like
a
it's folded
sawn off Panzerfaust
folded
almost.
down. No, it's like she has to attach the or
Yeah.
like pull out the section that's got to go
Ah, yeah,
along
yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That looks awesome. The drop tubes, the hoplite looks amazing. I love the little
Oh, yeah.
shields, the Rakatai. I love those little shields.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't
I
it?
think
Yeah.
I think they're just super cute.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Like
No,
and
that's good.
because I don't really have any interest in either of these factions, but like just looking at the models, I'm like, okay, now I like both of them.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely fantastic, aren't they? Um, the if you had to pick a winner between the factions,
Like which one I
well, yeah,
like
which
the
one's
look
got
of.
the better models? Yeah, which one's got the better models?
I don't. I like them both, and I love. I
Ah,
don't just like them both. I love them both.
yeah,
I
okay.
think they're both 10 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, it's the ALF. I reckon ALF won out a little bit. I think the Greeks just they're going to look fantastic. The, yeah, the thoracic ties. They got the little helmets, they got the shields, they got the dynamic running dude. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's all very good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the other thing as well. Like, there's a lot of dynamic poses, um, different. Sure, there's a few like tactical rocks and that sort of thing in there, but without those, it makes it
love the
hard to
tactical rock.
make an interesting looking
Oh, yeah.
um, sculpt.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, there's some like really dynamic poses. You look at a model and you're like, yeah, this guy's doing something, and I can like see what that thing is that it's trying to do. Um, but no, I love them.
No, it's gonna be good. It's gonna, man, it's gonna be a lot more Aleph and Hackers Lam on the tables, which is gonna be interesting because every time, basically every time I play against ALF, I realize I'm like, I don't know if this game is as balanced as I think it is. I swear to God, every time I play against ALF, I'm like, Jesus, you get this and that and this, and it costs that. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. ALF just yeah, but they did get the nerf to the nerf bat has come down on their net rods, so that's a good thing. That's an
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, net rods went up in price.
Yeah. Mhm.
Where's it gone?
Mhm. To 6 points.
Oh, look out!
That's it. It's gonna
Like,
break the bank.
yeah. I mean, it will. I mean, it will definitely mean that predictably everybody who's written an army will have to change it because everybody takes them.
Yeah, base.
Um,
Suckers.
so
What a psych. What a psych.
it's tricky. But yeah, I like. Was there anything else you want to talk about in terms of the Blackwind box or release itself before we go into
The
talking
Lady
about?
of Troy, of course.
Oh
Uh,
my god, yeah, yeah.
oh, what a mama.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. We got we got plenty of people simping for Helen of Troy. I'll tell you what. Um,
Johnny Bravo.
yeah.
Reminds me of my Johnny Bravo days when I was used to watch that show. Like, hey there, mama. Hey there, mama.
Yes,
No, it's yeah, it's all good.
very powerful thighs.
Yeah, yeah, very indeed. No, but basically start preparing for impersonators again because Hackers Lam's gonna have resurgence and people are gonna be running days for days again. So
For
get
days.
ready. Yeah, get ready for that, guys. The time's upon us. And
Cool.
Achilles was going to be on the table more often as well, coming down the flank with his Spitfire,
Yeah, but no more
blasting.
no more fire team good friends
Oh no.
because Patroclus has bit the dust, along with a number of
He has
other along with a number of other named
a lot of
heroes,
famous
and
creeps.
yeah,
Yeah.
from that were previously available in Steel Phalanx, to I guess free up the roster, I suppose. Um, I mean, but like the only time I ever saw Patroclus was when I was playing against Jacob, and he had
Ryan
gone
used Patrick Leahy
he'd
quite a bit
he'd
actually.
gone out of his way to get four different Achilles sculpts so that he could do the duo with four of them,
Jacob. Amazing.
and then be like, yeah, and I don't have to tell you which one's the real one. I'm just like, yes, you do. You have to put a hollow mask, or hell, you have to put a hollow echo marker down the ones that are not the real ones. Um,
Yeah.
but I reckon I had that same argument with him like three times. Um,
No. Ryan used Patrick Leahy quite well actually.
oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, Ryan used him quite well. He'd like whole project him as a Dakini and like, just all sorts of wild shit and just like fuck around with these points so you can hide things as well. He used it pretty cleverly.
Mm.
So I suspect he'll miss him. But aside from that, they got a tag,
See,
mate. They got
see,
a
like,
tag. They
like
got the new heavy
you,
infantry.
you,
They
but
can't
just
complain.
before, like, just on hollow
Mhm.
projector, right, and hollow echoes, and I mean hollow mask as well. Using it to like hide your points doesn't do anything when you come up to against a player like me who barely knows what things are worth points wise, right?
Or
Um,
what's in that faction? Absolutely, yeah.
mm,
It's a weird tool. It's a weird strength to have. I've been using Imperial Service, and I'm like, I play Gareth, my mate, who's not played the game for ages. I'm like, oh, I've got this, and I look at him. I'm like, I'm waiting for a reaction. He just like blinks at me. I'm
so
like, oh fuck, he
okay,
has no idea what's going on. Exactly. I'm like, I'm like, I put two Sun Tzus on the table. I'm like, haha, didn't see that coming, did you? He's like, and he just like blinks at me. I'm like, I can only have one. And it's a named character. He's like, oh, okay.
oh okay,
I'm
yeah,
like, and he has to
yeah,
be my lieutenant. He's like, "Ah, okay. So I
yeah.
don't know who your lieutenant is." I'm like, "No, you don't." And I'm like, he's like, "Okay, cool. Well, I
Mhm.
don't care." I'm like, "Fucking hell!" Like all that effort, all that list building, all that getting the two models, two of the same models.
Yeah,
So
when when
frustrating.
when when your ruse is so elaborate and complex, you have to explain
Yeah,
it.
no.
You have to explain it to your opponent before they even
Fuck.
understand what's happening.
It's like that serial killer who had to turn himself in because he was sick of the incompetence of the police,
Yeah.
not be able to find him. He's like, I've been on the run for 24 years. I'm sick of this. I'm turning myself in. You guys are too dumb to catch me. So yeah, something like that. But yeah, besides that,
Sorry, we were gonna
the
you started talking about the Steel Phalanx tag Agamemnon.
yeah. So effective one thing I don't play Steel Phalanx, but my little bit of insight on them is the fact that I remember they did not have any HMGs, or it was very hard to get a HMG. Between the new heavy infantry and their tag, they've got access to HMGs, which is an interesting change. So we'll see how that pans out. But the
Hmm.
tag itself, pretty cheap tag, man. Like what, 60 points for it's Armor 6, BTS 6, but yeah, it's a cheap tag.
Yeah,
It's fucking yeah.
62 points, 1.5 SWC. Um, just looking at it now, ECM hacking neg 3 mint,
Yep.
as well as ECM guided neg 6. So that's
hmm
like the hacking, extra hacking
Not that guide is a
armor there
problem.
is great. Um, but looking at like there's three different profiles, right? You've got a HMG with a heavy
Mhm.
flamethrower, AP Spitfire with heavy flamethrower, or then AP Spitfire heavy flamethrower as a LT. And all three of
Mhm.
them have the same SWC, same points cost. So it's interesting that,
Perfectly balanced,
yeah, perfectly balanced as everything should be. Um,
as all things should be.
and
I
I
love
mean,
it.
I'm a big fan of the AP Spitfire as a gun. So, um, but like you say, if you're in a
Mhm.
faction that traditionally didn't have amazing,
HMGs.
um, yeah, access to that longer range firepower, maybe that's the way that you go. Um, personally,
And
I'm
it's interesting how it's not the lieutenant option. The lieutenant option is the Spitfire.
the
So
AP
that's pretty cool.
Spitfire, yeah. Um, but then also the heavy flamethrower has got +1 burst, So you dropping fat templates all over the place.
Mm. Yep, yep. No, it's pretty cool. The BS14 as well, with sustenance, with three structure means the like he can break the enemy arrow pieces, so you can get up the table. I'd be curious how Steel Phalanx are to play as a faction. I don't think they'd be easy um
To play with.
to play, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean 62 points as well, sorry. That's not expensive. That's a
Mate,
cheap tag.
as a
And
cheap
he's
tag.
still got three
Cheap.
structure, still got decent
Mhm,
guns. I mean, HMG is not amazing because it's got no ammo types, but I am
mhm,
gravitating towards the AP Spitfire. On a
mhm.
BS14 platform is not to be sniffed at.
Mm. I wonder if they're going to be auto-starved. Oh, sorry. I wonder if they're going to be SWC starved when you start building the list. The faction. I'm not too sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't just yeah, I haven't played them at all, so
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. But
No, that's all
yeah,
right.
I'm sure but you're gonna want to run Achilles. You're gonna want to run Ajax. By the way, the Ajax model's a fucking bitch to get at the moment. Everyone. There's a couple of players I know that are trying to get it and they just can't. I
Did
think
it
Josh might be one of them.
did it have its own release, or because I remember it was in the old Steel Phalanx 300 point army box that you could buy
Oh, that's
fucking
probably
5 years
why.
ago, or did it come out
Ah,
by
that's
itself as
probably
well?
why. Yeah, I don't think he did. I think you might be onto something. I think it might be part of the box.
No,
That might
I
be the
mean, I
potential.
remember it definitely was part of the box, but um,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no. I've just googled it. I've just looked it up on the web store on CB web store. You could buy him by himself. Yeah,
Oh, is he by himself? Oh,
yep,
okay, nice. Well, then maybe I'm just talking shit.
yeah.
Um,
But I mean, if he was to get a resculpt, like I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. And
Oh, I've
that's
got a hot take.
yeah, man. Let's hear it.
Effectively, anytime somebody fights Achilles version 2, the heavy infantry one,
Yeah.
so the heavy armor one, I say throw your walker at him, turn one, and make him frenzy. Then he loses his cover, and then he's shit. Anyway, that's my hot take.
Can he go in a link?
Yeah, I'm sure he can. Um, but actually, yes, he can. But the point is, then he has to go on a link, and then it's just much more awkward.
Because he's a very strong solo piece. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. He's a big strong solo piece. So actually, I'm having a look
Forge
now
version 2.
at
Sorry,
the
I'm
fire
looking
teams.
at the
I
fire
don't
team
see
charts
him.
myself as well.
I don't think he can go to fire
No,
team.
I
There you
don't
go.
think he can.
I've just uh, I've just I've just broken
Yeah.
the game. I've just broken the faction. With that one
That's an
take.
interesting point. But but then your opponent just dodges, right? Because
Well, they
he's dodging on
yeah,
15s.
15s or whatever. Yeah. Well, you throw something at him, but the point is, yeah, you get him, give him a kill early, so that way he can't be as, yeah, he becomes a bit more
Yeah,
vulnerable,
it makes him more
a bit
vulnerable.
more vulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, I think there was one new profile added to. I think two new profiles added to Still Valleys. The Makai, the third from the bottom. If you're having a look, they're just a good gunfighter where they got MSV1 and Mimetism 3 with BS13. Um, and they've got NCO there as well. So they're also a good gunfighting platform for me. They got Red Fury missile launcher, shock marksman, and breaker combi with the specialist option. Again, 1.5 SWC, so they're paying a lot of points for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. And they got a Pandora, so they got ability to throw out some pitches, which is very much on the nose in the current meta. Um, so I think hacking is, I guess everyone has to have some access to hacking. And then the hoplite, the heavy infantry dudes,
Yep.
natural total immunity, armor 3, but total immunity. What do you reckon of that?
Um, Sorry, I'm just bringing up the profile so I can have a bit of a look at it. Hopper lights. Here we go. Armor 3 with total immunity. I think that's great. That's really
Yeah,
strong. I mean,
it's
then
because
yeah, and they're not too expensive. They're not
they're
particularly
on the
cheap. I
higher
mean, he's
side.
got ECM hacker as well. Again, ECM hacking popped in there. Now,
Yeah, that's the makeup for
and
the
what
B
link
teams, I
teams do
think.
they go into? They go into Steel Phalanx team.
Mm.
So,
But the fact that most heavy infantry have that four armor. These guys have only three, but they get the total immunity. So I
but
guess I
yeah,
don't know. It kind of like I don't know. It's a tricky one.
yeah. So I mean, something's got 4 armor that's
Mm.
getting hit by AP goes down to 2 anyway. This is 3,
Yeah,
and it's
but
always going to be
yeah,
3.
yeah, of course. Um, I don't know. Just interesting. Just a point of difference, I guess.
Yeah,
They've worked into it, which is pretty cool.
I think the model
Uh,
looks awesome.
oh yeah, man, the model's
I
so
like his I
fucking
like
yeah.
his helmet, I like his shield.
It's all good.
I just like what he's doing.
It's all good, that model. Um, but yeah, we got some notes from Kevin do you have anything else to say about
Look,
the Stealth Alex or?
no, and what I reckon we do is just like completely gloss over Hack Islam unless you've got any of your own thoughts, because I'm just gonna add Kev's video to the end of the episode.
True that, true
So
that. No, yeah, right. I don't really have any thoughts outside from what I've read of Kevin's on the Hack Islam front. So stay tuned for that. I think yeah, he'll
yeah,
do a good coverage.
hang around
But
for the end of the episode, and you can listen to Kev wax lyrical while on the toilet about Assassin Baram.
what about the Sunduck bot? That one we can touch on. That's the Transformer bot that they got.
Yeah, I think it's I like
And that was
when
a meme.
yeah,
A meme.
when I initially saw the like the concept for it, I was like, okay, this is going to be just like the long yar for White Banner. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then the profile came out. I'm like, no, this is not like this is what when the long yard goes to bed at night, this is what it dreams it was, sort of thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the point difference is pretty stark though, isn't it? It's like yeah, it's between the Longyear and this thing, but
It is. Oh yeah, yeah. Some duck butt,
found out,
the dick butt,
but
um, is like his Spano, but like you can see why is really quite impressive. Um, two wounds. That decoy as well, pretty cool.
hmm
Um,
hmm
and some really interesting profiles.
yeah,
Things like neurocynetics on some of these profiles as well, which is not something that we've really seen very much of.
burst.
So like Feuerback in Burst 2 and ARO, it's gonna be nasty. Feuerback's a Burst 2, aren't they?
Yep, I think. But what about the +1 burst viral rifle and chain rifle
Plus viral rifle +1 burst, chain rifle
and
+1
chain
burst,
rifle?
shock mines, and mine layer. That's very nice. So he's going to be putting down, because he's got the decoy as well. So he's going to be putting down 3 um,
Mm-hmm.
tokens. That's
It's pretty cool, but you can get it the neurocynetics, or you can get it the active pace one as
the
well, which is
yeah. So
it's cool.
so the viral rifle, that viral rifle with the mine layer and shock mines does not have a neurocynetics option.
It does the second from the bottom.
Yeah, but it doesn't have extra
Doesn't have
burst.
the shock mine,
Doesn't
yeah,
have
but
extra.
yeah,
Oh wait, no, it's got neurocynetics +1
does,
burst,
yeah,
but it
that's what
doesn't
I'm
have.
saying.
It drops the mines.
Yeah, yeah, it does. But it's interesting because I think what's really cool about it, we'll see how it plays out. But Hak Islam always have that skirmish midfield of camo markers and often they're Dale armies, and you can almost guarantee that they're Dale armies often, right? Or you could. Now this is going to change it up.
Yeah,
So it's going to be
this
like
is gonna
soft,
make
soft,
it.
soft, heavy.
Yeah, but there's a decoy there as well, so you
Exactly.
can make an even greater ARO like a ARO bluff threat.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, you're not going to, not that you want to walk in front of Daylami
Mm,
Panzerfaust either, but they're
there you go.
sort of cheap throwaway. This type of thing, BS13 as well. That's as good as it gets for Haq Islam, and
hmm
+1 damage, BS attack +1 damage. Everything I'm looking at here, I love. The only thing that sort of scares me is the price tag. But
It is.
from what I understand about Assassins, it's like they don't have a huge amount of stuff that fills that high end price
That
bracket
cost. Yeah,
anyway. So
exactly.
um, I think it's really cute that it transforms into a box as well. I think that's great.
It's so fucking, it's so fucking cool. It's so good. So no, I think it's just, but it's also like it's a unique profile across the game. Like there's not a profile like it. So I think that's exciting in its own sense.
Mm,
Between the decoy, the camouflage, and the neurocynetics, I think that's super. We've not seen that combination
yeah,
of
I mean, like
skills
it is
or
on the
CP.
AVA one, but I mean, it's so expensive. You wouldn't want to
AVH.
take more than one. Um, but it'd be interesting to see which one of these profiles starts to get the most play as well. Do you use it as an active piece, or do you go neurosynetics and just purely ARO
Yeah,
beast?
50 points is a lot to put into ARO, right? Into an ARO presence.
I don't know. I I put I've I mean, for one, yeah, one into one piece of ARO, but it's got two
It's a
wounds.
one piece,
It's
yeah, sorry,
heavy
mate.
infantry though, right?
It
I
is
mean,
heavy
it's the
infantry,
same.
yeah, for
That's
sure.
the same price as the other thing with neurocynetics that comes to mind, which is the for Yujing the
Yeah, and how.
Yanhuo. Yeah, they're in that sort of mid 50s price range as well.
Yeah,
So
but this can kind of pick its fight. The Yanhao can't.
that's
So
true.
there's yeah, but the Yanhao's BS15, and we could make comparisons for days. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I
You're
thought
you're
it's
right.
BS 14, but
Yeah, BS14 is
yeah,
better.
it's slightly sorry. The Yanhuo's slightly cheaper. It's mid to high 40s, depending on which profile you take.
Mm,
So
sure.
so this thing, but I mean, it's you can see why it's more expensive because look at that loadout. There's so much going on,
Yeah, the skill
and I really like
and the
it.
skill set as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big
I think
fan.
I think it's cool. 1.5 SWC is a lot, but yeah. Anyway, I thought that was very
No,
very
the
funky,
the
very
longer I
funky.
look at it, the longer I'm leaning towards neurocynetics plus one burst, viral rifle, chain rifle.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. I was
you put him on you put the decoy like um you put your Daylami on rooftops, you put your decoy on a rooftop, you put the actual dick butt on the ground level covering a tight fire lane. um
yep.
because he doesn't have because you don't want to be shooting at long range, you want to be shooting at um sort of close range, which can either be if it's out of 8, then you hit him with or something that's like a bear, right? Bears are going to hate this, right?
Oh,
Because
the player's gonna
viral
fucking
rifle,
hate it.
goodbye. Um, as opposed to, but then anything else that comes even closer, hit him with two chain rifles
Yep,
in ARO.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, anything just gets too close.
yeah.
It's just um,
So
the and then you can stack it with like if you play in vanilla. I think Hackers Lam have a hidden deployment not to fire esque model now as well. So I think there's just I'm pretty sure they do from memory. But yeah, so you can combo with a bunch of things. It's yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a very interesting addition to Hakkazlam. So good for them. I don't want to play them. I'm not tempted at all. I can resist.
can
I'm
you?
definitely tempted.
I'm
No,
tempted.
I'm
I'm
pretty tempted
tempted.
by the Hawk.
I'm tempted, and I haven't been tempted by anything in a long time. Um,
Yeah,
so I am tempted by
yeah.
assassins. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Um,
Oh, shit. My laptop's about to gonna die, so let me just
okay.
quickly grab my charger.
I'll just
I'll be
pause.
1 second.
I'll just pause the
Yes.
recording then while we
Mhm.
work on some of these technical issues, and we'll be right back. We're back. Okay, yeah. So we're back. Um, thank you for staying with us. So
Mhm.
that probably wraps up everything that we wanted to talk about in direct relation to Blackwind. Like I
Yes.
said, Kev has gone out of his way and put together his own bit of content, which we will be adding on to the end of the episode. So stay around at the end to see that. And if you're on YouTube, I'll be uploading that separately as its own video as well. But sort of sneaking in under the radar with the Blackwind update was also something that took a lot of people by surprise. Was like a little stealth army update where there was a bit of balancing, bit of balancing happened.
Bit of balancing.
We saw, after some very aggressive memeing on crit posting, and we know that CB are part of the crit posting group because every now and then Heloise or Bostria will like or react or comment on some of the posts there, so we know they're there and they must be listening because old Top Dog Avatar went from, wait, let me bring up the changelog so I can be accurate here. He went from 122 points up to 126, and the increase from 2.5 to 3 SWC, which that sort of paired with Imatrons going up from 4 to 6 points, right? That means you are paying 1, 2, 3, 4 another 8 points and half an SWC more for the same army than you were the day before.
His cost of his loadouts went from 114 and 118 to 122, 126.
Yeah, but you would only take the 126 one, right?
Okay.
You don't.
He went from 118.
You don't take the cheaper one.
Yeah. Okay. So he went up 8 points effectively.
118 to 1. Oh yeah, 8. I can't even fucking count. 8 plus 4 is 12. Sorry. Yeah. Quick math. So yeah, the same army before now costs an extra 12 points and half an SWC. That's big, right? 12 points is a lot of points. When you're if you're playing around in army and you land on 312 points, you've made a big mistake.
You did. You've added one too many Fusiliers.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's interesting. So there's two things I want to say to this.
Yep.
First, I have to eat humble pie because I always say CB are right, and well, actually no, CB are right. They know their game, so this change is obviously needed. But that means my hot takes on Avatar being perfectly balanced were wrong. There you go. I was wrong. Here, there you go. I said it. I was wrong.
Mean, so
not...
the individual the Avatar in isolation is the single most powerful model in Infinity, right? That you can't argue against that. There is no other model
meant to be
that can compare, really. No, I would say not even close. It has so many gears that turn in its that it turns up to the absolute maximum, right? After this change, all of that is still true, right? It just costs more. And as someone who doesn't play an Avatar and has, as far as I can remember, never actually won a game against an Avatar, I'm totally okay with this.
Yeah. No, that's it's fine. The other thing though is the way it's come about though was from a targeted campaign strategy.
No, that's not. No, it's like you're mistaking causality and coincidence, right? It just so happened that post
deeper underlying truth to Nietzsche's words of the will to power.
This
is the will to power.
It just so happened that there was a massive meme drive post Nova Core saying that Avatar is OP, but then we talked about this last time, but it's sort of come full circle now because the Australians were saying that Avatar's OP, the Americans were saying that Australians are terrible because they think Avatar's OP. Then Australians were saying that Americans are just living in the past because nobody's running Avatars. and it got pretty nasty. They ended up turning on, which this really irked me. I don't make a huge number of memes, but when I post them, I like them to go up straight away because I like to see the
You want
likes
that
come in.
instant
I
reward.
will
You want that
need that
instant reward.
gratification of people. I love that. I need to see how many reacts it's gotten, and the fact that the crypt posting admin decided that this has gone too far and turned on post approval. I was like, this is not right.
Pretty funny.
Um,
Pretty funny.
yeah. So
It's pretty funny
so
that he
he
got
did,
there.
but it's okay. It's come it's come back around. They have decided to make crit posting great again and turned off the
yeah,
they've
exactly.
turned off the post restrictions, so now you can post anything. Um, but then for it to then come back around, like stacked onto this, it all died down, right? And then out of the blue, this avatar, I don't want to call it a nerf because the avatar has not been
Isn't it?
nerfed.
Isn't it?
It's just been made more expensive.
But that's a nerf. That's a nerf.
Is it?
But anyway, yeah. Cheap is good, expensive not good.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway,
Are we still going to see it? I think so. Can you still
100%.
can you make an avatar list 12 points cheaper? Probably. So just do that.
I'm sure you can.
Just take something out of the second group.
no
There's
doubt.
nothing. No one's doing anything in the second group anyway. Just drop something out of that. You don't need 15.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. No, but it's just that was funny though. That all the memes that came out of was great. Like after it was just the timing from CB. It was just like it was funny. But yeah. So that change has come. Obviously, the other change that we mentioned was the net rod change. The fact net rods and Immatrons are both up to 6 points, which is interesting because in N3 this wouldn't matter. It'd still be worth it probably. But in a 15 order format, they're really hard to justify now. So,
You think
at
so?
least I
I guess
suspect that
6 points when the next thing you
they're
compare it to
literally
is a 7 point flash pulse spot, right?
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But when you're making avatar lists, you probably want to take both, just to keep the points cost down. So
Yeah, exactly right. You're probably taking both anyway with that. Yeah, look, nothing. It's not a massive. Yeah, it was just. I think that was the main change that kind of got people's attentions. There was obviously a lot of changes to Hakkaslam and Steel Phalanx, which we kind of covered anyway, to some existing profiles, but we're probably not going to
yeah,
go into that.
but so
The
Immidrons and was it Immidrons? Is that
Immatrons are
Immatrons and net rods, right?
that's right.
There's still regular orders that are always going to be regular because they're veteran, right?
Mhm.
So is that worth?
That's a strength.
Is
That's a
that
strength.
is that
Yeah,
worth 6 points? 100%.
I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that is pretty cool. McMurray being added to Assassin's Baran is pretty interesting as well. That's spicy. That's a cool addition
Oh
to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
That's
I think yeah, I agree. Very cool, very cool. Is I don't know. I feel like it almost leans towards the realm of an auto include.
I don't know how Assassin's well
And I
enough,
don't know them
but I
well
guess
enough either, but I just get that feeling because whenever I look at
McMurray.
whenever I look at Corregidor, he's like an auto include there. So
Good luck getting the model, suckers.
What's
I guess
it's
people.
hard to find or
I suspect. I wonder if it's actually because I know all the Scots and stuff are hard to get by Aradna, so or most of them, some like all the old Cameronian sculpts. Maybe McMurray's still in production. I'm not actually too sure about that one. But yeah, I think that'll be interesting because that's a very much full frontal attack vector for the faction. So between the Fidays and the McMurray, that's pretty nasty. That's
yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
still in production. He's still like I'm just checked again. I've just checked the the CB official web store, and you can buy him.
Yeah.
So
Josh is saying there's a box of Galwegians in my games. Yeah. That's pretty rare actually. Those Galwegians. Hmm. mind games. But yeah, try to get getting the starter and stuff for the Scots is getting harder and harder
Mm,
from what my understanding.
yeah.
Um, the other thing I was gonna say is, what do you want
Well,
to talk about?
well,
CBs?
was there
Yeah,
anything else that happened in? We've got the change log open
yeah.
for Army. Was there anything else that happened that's worth talking about? Um,
Um, we've
I
touched
mean, because
on
we don't want to
Patrick
talk
Lee's
about we've
Diomedes.
talked a little bit about
Yeah.
Steel Phalanx. We don't want to talk about Assassins too much to rain on Kev's
Mm,
parade.
mm.
Um,
No,
doo-doo-doo. Oh yeah,
there's not
Lawkeepers.
really.
The side bot has a heavy right stopper instead of a light right stopper. That's a nice buff without
Yeah,
any
it's
points
nothing.
increase. That's great. Um, Nomads. The old Zoe loadout with a synchronized Pywell remains, but two new loadouts appear. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing from me.
Yep. Um,
Um,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
I
we can move on to that next bit that you wanted to talk about.
yeah, I was gonna say the last two things I think we can cover is basically the CB replying to your tier list.
Oh, that's right. So,
Uh,
as I'm sure many of you are aware, a couple months ago now, Rob Cantrell, famous Infinity Australia player, and myself put together a full faction tier list post Raven Eye. It was like the week that the Raven Eye update happened, so it was all very fresh and very much our opinions. Um, while you say it's in response to that, I don't think that again. I don't think the two are in fact related. But CB in their Gencon seminar
tongue in cheek.
gave us some actual info around sorting the N4 armies by popularity for starters, and then the second one, which was a nice little list, is the list of the top. Where is it?
By efficiency,
Top
yeah.
10
Uh,
by efficiency.
so it's like, yeah, I
Um,
guess wins and stuff like that. Success
so
at
yeah, I guess it's
wins.
like win loss,
Mhm.
but it would also take into account the number of people that are playing those factions. So it's like a win loss percentage type thing. Um,
Yeah.
so two really interesting bits of data that that they've brought out here. We'll just like quickly go through some of these ones in the popularity section
Oh, you want to do popularity
first.
first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we do
let's do that.
popular. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, let's do
Number
it.
one, vanilla combined. So the number one most
Makes
popular
sense.
faction that super expensive tag just got more expensive. Enjoy. Um,
Makes
Shazvasti
sense.
is number two, and then military orders is number three. Um,
Yeah. Well, they got all the new stuff, right? They're just the new models. They're just
that's
awesome.
true. They did get that new release not too long ago.
Yeah, like last year. It was last year, right?
Um,
So it was, yeah, it wasn't too
this
long.
next one I found was really interesting. Coming in number four in terms of popularity is Toha.
Yeah, that's bewildering, to
For
be honest.
starters, right, half the Toha line has gone out of print, right? Not all of it, but a whole bunch of Toha stuff you can't even get anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like here in
It's not
Melbourne, we never see them anymore.
Sergey's
Sergey,
the
yeah,
only one.
Sergey, but
Yeah,
I couldn't name
that's
another
it. Yeah,
player. Sorry, Julian has recently
it's the same.
is starting to play Toha. I guess his check out Julian's Instagram, J Julian, right, Julian J Hobby. I always call it like on the chat. I always say Julian J Jobby, and I'm never going to stop. Um,
Yeah, no. I
but
wonder if.
Julian J Hobby, check out his what he's done with his Toha because they look fantastic. Which is just I think he might have. I'm not sure if he's 100% finished, but he's very well would be close to. Um,
Mm, he's
panning up his
fucking so
Toha.
efficient. He's awesome now.
But like I don't know that I've just found that really surprising personally for Toha to be
Mm.
that high up in the popularity.
Yeah, it's weird. It is a weird one. Um, yeah, I'm not sure at all, to be honest. Hassan Baram is up there as well. Um, they're pretty.
Corregidor makes sense to me. JSA as a top one makes sense to me. O
Yeah, weebs.
O 012. I feel
Oh,
like
12. That's interesting, actually.
yeah, I feel like
Huh.
that like
They
from
have the new models.
well, 012 was like the first N4 two-player starter, or was that N3
Yeah.
still when it was
Uh, I
012
think.
and Shazvasti? Was that still N3 or was that in N4? Anyway, I
Yeah.
feel like that's still a layover from that because a lot of people bought in at that point.
Mhm,
Um, IA, Nomad, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some ones here that are surprising me.
mhm.
Um,
There's
and then
what's
like
surprising.
one
Surprising Morats aren't higher. I guess it hasn't had the chance to. I guess the new stuff's really new, so I
that
don't think
was
it's had the.
yeah, and
Yeah,
also we don't really know the exact time frame for the from which this data has been correlated.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, so it could be this is all of N4, right?
Yeah.
Which has literally
Yeah.
been 3 years. Um,
Mhm.
that's which even saying that out loud blows me away that it's been that long since we've been playing N4. But I guess we've been through a
Yeah,
pandemic, and that
that's
sort
what
of
it is.
warped everyone's sense of the passage of
Mhm.
time.
Can't
Um,
believe Kevin's more of a hipster than I
no,
am.
I know, right? It's because we've got
Darko right at the bottom.
Starco right at the
Right at the
bottom,
bottom.
very last, Starco.
Son of, son of
Um, and I guess like, and this is what something that Kev said was that Starco has kind of they've had some sort of I guess bad press. Really, is the way that you would describe it. In that
mm,
coming out of N3, they were sort of looked at as the Emily Handelman faction. If you want to spec fire EM
yeah.
grenades, then you play Starco and be
If you
that
want to play
guy.
40k in Infinity, yeah, just effectively. Yeah. So.
But as Kev will tell you, that's you don't have to play that way.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and in particularly post Raven Eye, that's not what they are anymore at all. But still, someone's got to be last, and it's Starco.
Darko. Foreign company coming in close second then. Second last.
Yeah,
Um but yeah, no, it's actually it's pretty interesting. The NA2 army is kind of definitely on the second page more. Yeah, more on the
yeah,
second page.
and even
Fair
even
enough. That's
that
fair enough.
even that doesn't really surprise me, right? Because
That doesn't
if
surprise
you
me.
if you look at but again, this is talking from a post Raven Eye perspective. I feel like NA2 factions in general are harder to play than straight up factions, than regular
Yeah,
factions.
I'd say so as
And
well. I'd agree.
they, just because of the way that the new link teams work, they have a lot less purity in their link teams to begin with.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and not that they're more complicated, but they have
They are more nuanced.
yeah,
They are a lot more
that's right.
nuanced for
That's
sure.
that's sort of what I'm trying to say is that there's more nuance there. So they're I guess more of an acquired taste, and they're never
Hmm.
going to appeal because we're looking at popularity, right? Like which ones people play more of. You're not going to get a new player doesn't come into the game and be like, I want to play Akari
Two
Company.
factions and then just yeah,
Apart
exactly
from
right.
JSA, and I set JSA separate when I talk about
Ugh.
NA2. Whenever I talk about NA2, I exclude JSA from
A lot of
my
JSA talks tonight.
I exclude JSA from my uh fuck what do you
Formula.
call it
Maybe formula.
when you just apply the same thing to everything? Yeah, I there's a word I can't even remember right now. Um, I exclude JSA, right,
Yep, sure.
because they're unique in
Mhm.
their origin and how they moved from where they were to becoming an NA2 faction. But all the other NA2 factions, they're all hodgepodge. They're the sort of thing that once a veteran player gets a bit bored with what they're doing, they're like, I'm just going to try this out. That's how
Exactly.
I've started playing an NA2 faction, and that's how I feel everybody else that I've spoken to who plays an NA2 faction has had a similar type experience. I'm not saying that's
Mm,
what everyone has, but by and large, that's what I've found. So for them to be at the bottom of the list makes sense.
yeah. And then it what is it? Just having a look at the Pano factions. The
I
most
actually,
popular
that's
Pano.
what I was surprised by. That Pano is so far down in popularity. I always thought Pano was like In
Oh, it's vanilla. That's vanilla Pano, I think.
Vanilla Pano is less popular than
Yes,
White
it's
Banner.
yeah, yeah, it's really
I
yeah.
played
Well,
I
that's
played White Banner for 2 years, and in
yeah,
the 2 years that I played White Banner, I never played against White Banner, not once.
yeah. Um, Pano's tutorials are a bit better. Like the military orders is third, so that's obviously their most popular. And then
Oh,
there's
sorry, yeah.
Varuna.
Apart from Mo, um,
Yeah,
everything's in
Varuna
the
used to
second
be up.
half.
Mm. Yeah, I
Varuna,
guess the
Neoterra, even Vanilla Pano.
it's just like what they say about like fiction. I guess simulating reality or reality simulating fiction. It's the great demise of the empire. Um, the capitalist empire, the fall empire. So sorry, Trent, mate. Um, downhill from
Coming from
downhill.
two Yujing players.
I know, right? The New World Order. Oh Jesus, the secret police. No, it's interesting to see the Imperial Service so far down. Oh, sorry, it's not surprising to see them so far down on this list. But if we move to our next list,
Top 10
the
sorted by
efficiency,
efficiency.
the top 10.
Um, Now, because I've
Yes.
been so out of the loop, I haven't actually watched this video, right? But do you know if they actually gave their definition of what is efficiency?
I think it's tournament results. I think that they made mention tournament results. Um, because they're not going to say power ranking. They're not going to say tier list. They're not, they're not filthy clickbait baiting, YouTubers.
For me, when
Um,
from what it looks like to me, right? And again, I could be completely wrong about this. If I listen to the 30 seconds in this video before they bring up the list, maybe this answers the question. But because I'm a fucking terrible person, I haven't done that. Um,
mhm,
Efficiency to me says um, win loss ratio divided by number of people playing that faction.
yeah, potentially, potentially.
That's if someone was to like out of the blue say this is efficiency, that's how in my head
Hmm.
that's how it works. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
because last time they did win rate, didn't they? They did win rate.
they
They gave
did.
the win rate
They
for it.
gave us
Yeah, yeah,
they gave us win rate
win
percentages.
percentage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Last year.
I think yes. I think this is a little bit. It might be the same formula. Who knows? We don't know. But the point is, it's interesting. It's interesting because Aleph, which kind of leans into what I said before. Every time I play Aleph, I'm like, how the fuck are they playing the same game? Combined Army and Toha. So Toha is obviously a faction that would most likely be owned by more veteran players, as is Imperial Service, and potentially Spiral Core. So that I think having that potentially skew the results as well,
Yep.
because I think there's a bit of older factions. I
Yep.
think they're more likely to be played by veterans, so that would probably lean favorably to them.
Yep.
Um,
Vanilla
but what
Ariadna.
about Cosmo?
Vanilla
Yeah, Vanilla
Ariadna.
Ariadna
They've
strong.
they've copped some flack on our podcast as well. But they're still
Yeah, yeah.
standing. Um,
Cosmo Fort,
Spiral Core. That's a
Morats.
bit of a
Yeah.
surprise for me personally. Spiral Core, I think, are a surprising
Mm.
one there. Cosmo doesn't really surprise me. I think Cosmo are very strong. Um, Shazvasti,
Yeah.
Morats.
Kevin did his bit for the Shazvasti. I did my
Yeah.
bit for the Morats.
Imperial
And
Service. You're
somebody else
like
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't help these numbers on Imperial
I'm doing
Service.
the opposite. Yeah, I'm doing the opposite. Actually, yeah.
Um,
Come
like
BCB. That'll be
of
coming
this
out.
whole list, the fact that ISS is number 9 blew me away, right?
Hmm.
Because like I said, I've looking at them, I just don't. And I N3 Imperial Service was my jam. I was all over I could play it any way I wanted to. Um, in saying
Mm.
that, there was probably the only two ways that I wanted to play it, and
Yeah.
those are the ways
Yeah.
that I made work. Um, but see them number 9, like I mean, it does fill my heart with joy,
I'm surprised.
but it
Mm.
is very surprising. Number 10, White
Matt,
Banner. That's fucking
you did
all.
your bit.
That's all me. That's all me, right? Because like reading because there's like I'm in like a Eugene Facebook page and a
Mhm.
few other places as well. Like from if what I read on the internet is true, I was the only person winning games playing White Banner. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, then you've been in the Eugene forums then. No, that's fair enough. Um, yeah. So no, it's pretty interesting. But vanilla factions take out the top four spots, which is interesting. Um, yeah, yeah. Whatever that means, I guess. Who knows?
Josh in our Patreon audience is just saying that it's wins against times played. So it's like it's win rate in terms of how
Mm,
they come up with the numbers.
yep. Yeah, I guess win rate. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So ALF number one. ALF number one. Uh,
Unless what he's saying, oh, he's typing, so I could be wrong.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
but
But it's interesting because your tier list made mention nomads, which are nowhere to be seen in any way, shape, or
yeah,
form.
but I mean, like again, because a lot of our tier list was influenced by opinion, um, and Rob plays um, vanilla nomads a certain way, and he's I've played him with those vanilla nomads in that certain way, and it's nasty, and it wins games. But maybe other people just aren't playing it like that, or there's other.
Nomads were really popular on the TTS side of things for a little while there as well. They were running. There was just like this nomad list, like cookie cutter nomad list that was going around with the salamander, and that was just really frequently doing well in I think their events and their finals. So I
Yep.
think that was having a part to play in people's opinion of nomads. I'm sure they're still strong, but yeah, I think that was a factor.
Um.
What's old Josh saying? I
Uh.
think round plays well. Yeah, who knows? Who knows how they get the numbers? Numbers are probably on TTS due to table
Yeah,
density.
and that's the
There you
thing
go.
about TTS, right? It's its own. The TTS meta was its own meta in
Yeah.
the way the tables were
no,
put together, and when we talk about table density, if you want to see dense tables and start playing games on tabletop simulator, because you you can make a dense table without having to lug around three great big plastic
Crates, yeah.
tubs
Crates.
worth of expensive MDF cut stuff that you've spent 100 man hours painting.
And it costs you only pixels rather than physical money
That's
to
exactly
make terrain.
that's right.
So that's the other thing. So you're going to get a lot more consistent tables on TTS as opposed to real life tournaments and events. So I'm sure that has a part to play
Mm.
in the diversity table stuff. So who knows? I guess that would have made the Pupniks really strong, having dense tables. Those
Yep.
things are disgusting. Who knows? It's all speculation. But either way, it's cool that we got a bit of an update from CB. So I'm looking forward to the nerfs that ALF are going to cop next, seeing as
Yeah.
Avatar just got the bat.
No, it's real interesting. Um,
I don't think I don't think anything actually needs a nerf, by the way.
One thing that I
Um,
did want to mention that we forgot to
mhm,
mention in earlier in our news section because we forgot to make
mhm,
notes. We forgot to make
mhm,
show notes for this show, but so we're kind of
mhm.
doing a little bit on the fly. Warcrow. We
Yeah, I thought.
we
Yeah,
haven't
okay,
well
gotcha.
we haven't had we've gotten quite a lot more information. I feel like in the past few weeks there's been more information coming out more quickly about Warcrow, and even a little bit of information about the Warcrow skirmish, right?
Right.
Not just the dungeon crawler, but
Dungeon
we
crawler.
do have a date for the Warcrow dungeon crawler, and because I'm such an amazing content creator, I'm having to Google it right now on the fly.
Yeah,
It
okay,
was
gotcha.
like October 25 or something, maybe October
Hmm.
18. Uh, but like mid to late October is when they'll be launching the Kickstarter. That originally it was penned in for November, right? So for it to come in October,
Mhm.
that's great news. And fuck, what am I doing? I'm in a Discord. I'm in a Warcrow Discord. That'll tell me.
Yeah, right. Um, yeah, I'll be paying attention to it probably around the Kickstarter time. Probably until
Yep.
then, I'm not really focusing too much. I do want to see how the game works. I want to see how the game mechanics actually work. The actual skirmish mechanics work. I suspect they're going to be good.
But I
But
know
I
this is
want
what
to
I've
see.
said loads of times before, Val. I totally
Yeah.
agree. Is that I'm not interested in the dungeon crawler. Maybe I'll get it. I'm like 50-50 as to whether or not I'll get it. But I am 100% interested in the skirmish. But because only information we're getting right now is around the dungeon crawler, there's a bit of a dearth of info around the other thing, the skirmish.
Yep.
But the little bit of info that we did get was that they reckon the model count is going to be like 20 to 30 in your force. So
A lot.
bigger than Infinity. Maybe it was 20 to 25. I can't remember. Um,
Yep.
but a little bit bigger. And it will use the same dice as the dungeon crawler uses.
Yep.
And
Which is eight-sided Aristide dice,
yeah, similar
effectively.
to Aristea type stuff, but with 8 sides. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that was all, if I remember correctly. So, but a lot of people had demo games of the dungeon crawler at what I was going to say PAX at Gencon. Right,
Mhm.
they had a demo at
I
Gen
wish.
Con.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well, there's a whole bunch of photos that have come out of what the models look like with paint jobs on them. And I feel like the models that they've got for at Gen Con that are painted up, they look completely different to the ones that they've got for their studio scheme. They look completely different to the concept art in the colors and things, and I think they look spectacular. Um, so more now more than ever, I'm sort of leaning towards being in favor of it. Um, there was one fellow who was posting on our Discord about his experiences playing it, and I might just actually just read that review because
Yeah, by all means. Sure.
it was really
Well written.
I thought it was really well put together. If I can,
I did.
okay, yeah. So the fellow's name is Mr. Steve on
Mustard
on
cheese.
Discord. And he says, a little late to the party here, but I also got a chance to play Warcrow at Gen Con and may as well chip in. I was fully hoping to pass on the game. Dungeon crawlers are a commitment, and there are already so many out there. That said, I was quite surprised by how much I liked it. The investigation phase, initiative system, and action choices made it feel like a significant upgrade from Defiance, which often seemed to consist of running through the halls as fast as you could while shooting things that got in your way. I enjoyed it enough that I'll almost certainly be picking it up. So that's pretty
It's pretty favorable. It's
yeah,
pretty
it's a pretty favorable
favorable.
review, right?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, sorry, I found the thing about the skirmish game. It says 20 to 25 miniatures. Sorry, not 20 to 30. 20 to
Yep.
25 miniatures. Accessible and easy to digest rules, and uses the same dice as the dungeon crawler. So the D8s with the symbols on them.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look, I
sorry. Yeah,
think.
sorry. Here's the other review that I wanted to look for, which is by kind of Nova Chaos, perhaps
Mhm.
on again on our Discord. If you're not a member of the Discord, there's links all over the place, so jump on. But I'll just read this again. He says, I've been lurking here for a while. My friends seem to be wedded to AMG's Star Wars Legion, so I haven't had much of a chance to play Infinity. Fortunately, I
Mhm.
talked to a local war corps yesterday and was helping. That was helping at the CB booth at Gen Con and found a nearby Infinity playgroup. Blah, blah, blah. More importantly for this thread, I got to play a few demo rounds of Warcrow. Definitely
Mhm,
fun and relatively easy to pick up. I can't wait for the 4 Kickstarter. Despite having Defiance, I haven't assembled it in order to play it yet. Built and painted so much Legion stuff, so I can't
mhm,
do a direct comparison. It's a lot like Fantasy Flight's Imperial Assault, Legends of
mhm,
the Alliance cooperative mode with tablet app, but the Warcrow app
mhm,
has more story and description in it to spice things up. The attack and defense mechanics are similar to Aristea, with hits, shields, and switches
mhm,
on 8-sided dice.
mhm,
The initiative wheel is a nice improvement over D&D style RPG initiatives during attacks. So from what I understand, there's like an initiative wheel, and you get to kind of bid on how much initiative you want to spend, and that moves you up the
mm,
wheel. But by
mm,
spending that initiative, it means that you could then be overtaken in later turns and rounds by your
mm,
opponents and enemies. Potentially, I think
mhm,
that's how it works. So
mhm,
don't quote me if I'm wrong on that one.
mhm,
Um, the energy system that allows a player to tailor buffs depending on needs is very good. And the new thermoplastic models are amazing, but they still are sorry, but they still said they are still looking at ways to improve them. I was disappointed when I heard that they were moving some models to plastic, but completely surprised by their quality. They don't have they don't have the nice heft of the metal models, but there seems to be as much detail. Maybe a metal slug in the base, like we used to do with cheap plastic chess pieces a long time ago, would solve this heft issue. He then posted a bunch of photos. So if you haven't seen them,
mm.
jump on the Lost Lieutenant Discord and scroll down to the Warcrow sub. What do you even call those on Discord?
I don't know, sub channels.
Sub channel conversation. I don't
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
The
But
Warcrow part, and they look awesome.
these are some advanced bots that CB are hiring to you know spin spin truth or spin promotions in
Yeah,
our
man,
chat.
that's exactly what
Uh,
it is. They've got they've enlisted the Russian bots to
that's right.
spam every single Discord channel with favorable reviews, right? That's what's
You,
going
you
on.
know, you know when I caught on? Maybe a metal slug in the base, like we used to with cheap plastic pieces back
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
long
No,
time ago.
I totally agree that that sentence reads like it was written by a machine.
No, that attempt at like personalizing it, that was very obvious. But no, thank you very much for writing the reviews, guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome to get that
No,
insight
no,
for us. And
we just joke. We absolutely appreciate your contribution to the
yeah,
Discord.
absolutely.
So,
No,
but
that's really cool.
yeah, I know we would usually talk about that stuff further towards the start of the episode, but I just wanted to get that out there because um
Yeah.
I kind of agree with some of these notes in that the info that's come out at Gen Con has made it more. I'm closer to being in the yes camp than I have been for a long time.
Mm.
So
I'm definitely in the yes camp. I was always in the yes camp, just like um not now.
look, yes for the Kickstarter. You gonna back it?
Uh, I'm not getting back to Kickstarter. I'm like, yes for the
So
game
okay.
being, yeah, I'm like all for CB doing another game.
Oh sure,
I mean, yeah, so I'm always supporting. I don't think it's a bad idea for them to do it. I just, whether I don't know if I'll back the Kickstarter, but I'll probably play the game once it's out.
great. So I'll back the Kickstarter, and you can come over to my house.
Mate,
That's how it
for
works.
it. Yeah, absolutely done.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Um,
The tag grade one, yeah, the tag grade's going to be shipping eventually, or maybe even ship for some people. That'll be interesting to play as well. But you need an airbrush to play tag grade. You don't actually, but painting those big monsters, I
no,
suspect an
I am.
airbrush would help. Probably.
I don't regret not backing tag rate.
I do.
Um, you
I do.
you regret not backing it?
Yeah, I got some. Yeah, I should have backed. I backed it and then pulled out last minute, and yeah, I regret it. Just kind of because I think it'd be fun just having that 4-player game where just chaos
That's like it
ensues.
was when we played it. Because we did a. I can't remember if we streamed what we played, but we played a demo game when they had the
You did
demo on
on
tape
yeah.
TTS. We played it 4-player, and it was loads of fun, right? And
Yeah.
what I envisage is a way to take that rule set and adapt it to, that the there's that set of rules that you've talked about before, Val, that's sort of floating
Yeah, Infinity
around, the
Deathmatch.
the
Yeah,
Infinity
that we
Deathmatch
yeah
rules.
we've
Take
wrote.
the tag raid rules and adapt them to this Infinity Deathmatch play style, and then that's your beer and pretzels game, right? Because Hugh and I, maybe this time last year, or it was a little while ago, 6 months ago at least. Hugh and I ran an Infinity Deathmatch game at Axes and Ales. We had 8 players, and it was a blast. Everybody had a great
Chaos.
time. Apart from Hugh and myself, we had because at Axis and Ales, Infinity is such a prevalent game. A few of the organizers of ANA, a few of the board members of the club wanted to get an understanding of how Infinity works, just because it's good to know this sort of thing. And so we had 2 of them playing. We had a few of Hugh's D&D crew came along. So we had me,
Nice.
Hugh, and there was about 8 of us playing Infinity Deathmatch, just with basically it's just everybody gets 2 orders, and
Yep.
you've got a line troop. We started where you made it spec ops and sort of customized your guy, but for people who weren't familiar with Infinity, that was a bit too far, and so we scaled it back and was like, no, you're just a line troop, and then you go up to the panoplies and the boxes, and you can roll on the booty chart, you can roll on the panoply chart, or you can roll on the metachemistry chart to change your stats, change your weapons, change your stuff, and that made it loads of fun. And then if you die, you just respawn, and you can go loot corpses and get the weapons that they've dropped off them, that sort of thing. So it was loads of fun, and that's how you play multiplayer Infinity, where everybody's got one model that generates 2 orders. That's it.
Yeah, Chris and I wrote that rule set back in Geelong. It's somewhere floating around on the Google Drive. We can post that up if anybody's interested. But yeah, it really is fun. It makes the game fun. But obviously CB are game designers and we're not, so they've gone steps above and beyond
Oh yeah,
with
but
tag
sorry.
raid.
In saying that, the similarities between that existing
Mm.
deathmatch set that you've come up with and what tag raid is, there's a huge amount of overlap
Yep,
in
for
how
sure.
they work and what you do. And there's if you like I've said before, if you took the tag raid rules and just tweaked them slightly,
Great, yeah,
then you get an
it
awesome
works. Yeah, it
awesome
works.
deathmatch
That's true. It
scenario.
works. That's
So
that's true. But yeah, we'll see. And there's always Aristeo as well, so let's not forget that. So
yeah,
between that as well.
you
Do we
still
have anything else to cover? Too
um
much?
I don't think so. Let me have a quick.
BCB actually missions obviously. Should we do an episode for the mission lineup? Actually, we probably did talk about this one off air. But yeah, BCB. That's going to be. I'm pretty excited.
Well, it's like
I've got a
probably
game lined up with Hector this Wednesday,
in
and
the
yeah,
coming. I'm sure maybe even next time we record potentially, because it's sneaking up on us. Actually, we should probably schedule that in for the next episode. We need to talk about. We need to do a deep dive
missions.
into the missions, right? So we'll
I'll
probably
be. I'll be
we'll
up.
we'll probably do that next time we record. We'll do a deep dive into the 5 missions for Burn City Brawl, uh, because that's the next big
Big
event
event.
coming up. And even though I'm
Absolutely.
not going to be playing on the day, I'm still super keen to be taking part from an organizational perspective. I can't wait.
Yep. Exactly. Um. Awesome.
Cool. Well, we can probably wrap it up there then,
Well,
Val.
it's not the end though, is it? Because this is gonna be half an hour of
Oh, yeah, that's
Kevin.
right. So stick around. So will Kev and I, sorry, Val and I keep. Oh, this is the second time I've called you Kev. I'm so sorry, Val.
No,
Um,
that's fine.
I'm just used to, if it's one on one, it's usually
Yeah.
been
Music Kev.
me and Kev. So it's just muscle memory. But yeah, so stick around for Kev's words on Hack Islam, and we'll tack that onto the end. But my name's Nick,
And I'm Val.
and you've been listening to Lost Lieutenant. Pause.